I eat a mango and I feel like a little out of control. The star food's so simple, but I feel like a little out of control. Up and I feel so, and I feel like a little out of control. It's hard, but not total, and I feel like a little out of control.
The 2009 experimental pop album Merriweather Post Pavilion will continue to stand as one of Pitchfork's top 50 albums of the 2000s. But when you take a closer look at the group that came together to make such a monumental album for the 2000s, then you can see that Animal Collective is full of personalities that are larger than life. From Avey Tare to Panda Bear to Geologist to Deacon, every single member of Animal Collective comes in with their own backstory and with their own flavor to what they define as experimental music. When they come together as a collective, hence the name Animal Collective, then what they make is truly completely animal and foreign to the human ear. But when you take a closer look at the lead vocalist, Avey Tare, then you see that his personality and his background makes a lot more sense when you have to look at his music and what it projects. This is why I think Avey Tare is probably one of the most mysterious, but also one of the most humbling figures in experimental music today. Welcome to this video, guys, a quick guide to Avey Tare of Animal Collective, otherwise known as David Portner. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So David Portner, aka Avey Tare, which is his stage name, was born on April 24th, 1979, and his hometown is Baltimore, Maryland. As a kind of general overview as to who Avey Tare is, he's an American musician and songwriter who pretty much co-founded experimental pop band Animal Collective. As of now, he has released 2 solo albums and has 3 collaborative albums with Panda Bear, all of which belong to the Animal Collective name. And Avey Tare has been known for his quiet but very diverse musical personality. He can come off as very reserved at times or very introspective along with Panda Bear, and in the past he has dealt with harder hitting issues like drug abuse and alcoholism. But ultimately, Avey Tare describes music as an important creative outlet for him to just describe what he's feeling and, more importantly, temporarily escape from whatever it is that's going on in his world. At this point of Animal Collective's career, Avey is more put together and a much more observant man, but it's not like we can't look back through his life and see all the things that he has gone through to see how the musician we have today came together. Growing up, Portner lived a fairly normal but creative life that promoted his artistic abilities primarily through music. It was not until he started high school that Portner really started to dive into making music himself, and some of his early influences, as he has described in interviews, include psychedelics, radios, old records, pavements, old guitars, and sampling sounds / field recordings. Avey Tare ultimately met Animal Collective's Deacon, otherwise known as Josh Dibb, Panda Bear, and Geologist in high school. For years, the 4 of them swapped homemade recordings, shared musical ideas, and performed in different group configurations. And the band quickly found their improvisational stride and began to experiment almost from the beginning. As is evident in Animal Collective's music, the 4 teenagers drew influences from a wide and varied font of knowledge, whether it be the soundtracks of horror flicks or from the so-called bands like Silver Apples and Can. The group then came together under Tare and Dibb's leadership to form Automine, and they quickly began testing the waters of the Baltimore music scene, performing live, oftentimes with multiple bands containing different members of Automine and other musical chums. One song Automine played back in the early 2000s was what Portner penned today as Penny Dreadfuls, which would end up on the first Animal Collective record, Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They've Vanished. Avey Tare would then go on to record Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They've Vanished with Panda Bear, and initially released the recording on the band's own label in 1999. The album is commonly referred to as the first official Animal Collective release, with Tare writing the music and Lennox providing the perfect percussion, as cited in the album's credits. But after high school, David Portner made the move out to New York City and attended New York University for 1 year before dropping out. In an interview, Portner goes on to say that he did not enjoy the college atmosphere and instead made the move back to Baltimore. But after making the move back to Baltimore, Portner had begun to work on an album that would become Spirit They've Gone, Spirit They've Vanished, and Lennox had also begun on an album of his own with the help of Josh Dibb called Panda Bear. As Animal Collective began to take shape and began to crystallize their chemistry even more, Avey Tare found himself finding success in the project and continued to recruit Josh Dibbs, Noah Lennox, and Brian Wheats for 2 more albums. After Spirit came the release of Dancy Mancy, one of Anco's most acquired tastes to date. Avey Tare's hand in developing the next 3 albums would become solidified, and Animal Collective's name quickly started circulating in the indie music world. With the help of Pitchfork Journal, Animal Collective quickly started receiving more and more traction and attention to their sound. But Avey Tare's first solo record, Down There, discusses the topics of death, divorce, and some of the darkest moments in Avey's famous career. In an interview with Spin magazine, Avey Tare was asked to discuss some of the themes in Down There a little bit more and why they came off as so dark, what was ultimately going on in his life. And in an interview he states that the last few years of my life marked an important transitional period for me. There was a lot happening when I was in New York, around when I was doing Down There, but I think it was harder for me to really process it all in a positive way. Not that it was negative really, it just came out more like sadness and confusion. I was going through a divorce, and New York also made it really hard to get grounded. I still have a lot of great friends there, but I wanted to find a new positive take on everything, and also able to have a good time playing with Jeremy and Angel when we could and not have it be stressful. I think it was important for me, for my health really, more than anything, to try and lower my stress levels. Being sick created a lot of stress, not being able to do what I was supposed to do, and also feeling like I was letting a lot of people down. I was really trying to use the slasher flick stuff to create some good vibes in my life. And at this point, Avey Tare is starting to reference a brief moment during the Centipede Hurts era of Animal Collective's tour, where Avey Tare found himself being really sick and also having to cancel a lot of Animal Collective's shows. If you go back, there are actually some shows where pretty much Panda Bear had to take over most of the vocals because Avey Tare couldn't actually sing himself. And though some people conspire, and there are some rumors out there that maybe Avey Tare was really starting to fight with a drug problem during this era of Animal Collective, it did ultimately help Avey Tare realize that Animal Collective's fame and having to balance his personal life were 2 things that he needed to balance out and figure out immediately for his own sake. After the Down There era though, Avey Tare really just started to make it very clear to himself that he needed a better outlet for expressing some of his music. After his divorce with Kriya or Kristen Brecken, you can see that Avey Tare really started to focus back on Animal Collective's music and then would go on to release another solo record down the road. We started to get albums like Painting With, where you can see that David Portner's mood has changed drastically and has really just taken a much lighter tone. So now thankfully we can see that David Portner is hopefully in a much better place, and not only that, but has started to guide Animal Collective in a much brighter direction as well. Though David Portner continues to remain a very introspective and very mysterious figure, we can see that he's just simply a man that wants to make music and wants to sort of show himself off more through what his music is. In some interviews in the past, David Portner has gone on to sort of hint at that he thinks he might have synesthesia, so that's a very interesting note to take. So for someone as creative as him, and for someone who really just tries to make visuals go along with his music, we can see that David Portner is a man that spends a lot of time in his head and really just tries to do his best to fill us all in on what's going on in there. He is one of my all-time favorite lead singers for just being able to just stretch out the extent of his voice from, very bloody screams to just very deep and very high-pitched vocals. Avey Tare's voice is probably the most important instrument within Animal Collective. But this has just been a very quick guide to David Portner, aka Avey Tare. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video thus far. I definitely plan on covering the rest of Animal Collective, but this was a video that I definitely wanted to make because Animal Collective is a very important band to me, and the band itself honestly just consists of some of the most creative minds to come into the music scene for the past 20 years. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know down in the comments if you would like to see me cover the rest of the band, from Panda Bear to Geologist to Deacon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are new to this channel, and feel free to check out my other series, A Guide to Flatbush Zombies and A Guide to Brockhampton. I will catch you guys in the next video.